Fab. Afternoon, everybody. So I decided it was too nice. I had a long weekend just past there, and it rained and hailstoned on Friday, I think. So when I came back to work, and I thought, actually, it's too sunny and too nice, I'm going into the garden. So I'm hoping that our neighbours choose not to shout at their dog while I'm talking, but you never know. So a bit of an update really from us. I think there's lots of government guidance and other schemes have launched over the kind of the last few days, and we've been updating our COVID hub. So, you know, if there's any information that you're looking for, then please always have a good look at that. The details of the bounce back loan scheme are on there. I'm sure all of you are all over that, I would imagine, but there's been a significant number of applications through. Now, not all of the banks at the moment are able to offer that bounce back loan. They're getting accredited by the British Business Bank all this week. So, you know, if your bank is not on that list yet, then please bear with the scheme, because it's likely to come on stream. And I know that the way that that's working is that the business interruption loan scheme, most of the banks that offer that will offer the bounce back loan scheme within the next few days, if not sooner than that. So a significant number of applications for that, which is good, because that means the money should get to businesses really quickly. The self-employed scheme is also is rolling its way out, and HMRC are actually going to be contacting all self-employed people just to find out, you know, have people applied for things, do they know what they're entitled to, and are there any issues. So plenty going on. We've been hearing from businesses that have accessed successfully the furlough scheme, and the money's coming through within the 6 working days as promised by HMRC. So, you know, we're beginning to see a lot of these schemes really coming to the fore now and beginning to help people. But there's lots of people still falling through cracks. So, you know, part of today's webinar is always about hearing from businesses about, you know, what's happening with you, how you're finding things, how you're, you know, whether you've got any opportunities or challenges. And it's just a chance for everybody on the call really to kind of share what they're doing. So we'll give a bit of a shout out on some of the other webinars we've got going on this week towards the end of the call. But it just, if this is your first time in kind of joining one of our webinars, this is our member only session on a Tuesday. It's all about networking. I don't know if you've got your own coffee and cake. I've certainly not got cake, but we've definitely had people eat their cake on their webinars before. So please don't be too shy if you've got a nice bit of cake with you. On a Tuesday evening, it's our Guide to series. Wednesday afternoons is a webinar focused on supporting people in your business, and then our Thursday webinars are about supporting your business itself. So lots of webinars going on and lots of other business support happening around about us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give people a chance to unmute and come in and introduce themselves and just give us an update on what you've been doing, and also any significant challenges or anything that you do want fed back to either any of the government's local, national, or any business support agencies. And so I'll do this in kind of order that you came into the meeting. So Abby Scrimger, do you want to unmute yourself and come in? As soon as I can hear you, I will mute myself and get out of the way.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Hi, okay, so I'm Abby. I work at Salamandra. We are an animation and design studio, so we simplify complex business-to-business messages using animation. So this can be 2D, 3D, AR, VR, you know, a whole scope of different medium there. And, you know, so we help businesses reach their target audience in a really understandable way. And what we've been doing, so we've increased the amount that we're posting on social media. We've been contacting our clients and suppliers just to let them know that we're still here, you know, keeping the conversation going. We've been attending a lot of webinars to sort of, you know, see what everybody else is doing, and they kind of say the same thing. And we've also been offering co-promotion with other companies. So a sort of, we'll feature you on our newsletter if you can do something in return kind of thing. So yeah, we've just been keeping the conversation going as much as we can with other people. That's me.
That's fab. So I suppose then, if anybody's interested in doing anything like that on your e-newsletter, then something in the chat to just alert you, and kind of that would be good. Okay, that's fab. Thanks, Abby. Alistair Booth, do you want to come in next?
Thanks, Alison. Just unmuting myself there. Hi, everybody. So Alistair Booth from the HR booth. We're a HR consultancy, so we've been really busy just supporting clients over the past few weeks. We've seen an increase in our workload just looking after our existing clients, with kind of furlough, some restructuring kind of going on and things like that. So it's been quite a kind of challenging time for us. The biggest challenge we've probably got now is that we've done all that work and probably waiting to be paid for a lot of it. And we have seen a decline in our revenue, which is a bit unfortunate. But we've taken advantage. We've deferred our VAT payment, which will definitely help with cash flow. Made an application yesterday for the bounce back loan, so we've got just waiting on confirmation from Royal Bank of Scotland on that, and we've also put an application in today for the Resilience Fund, hoping to perhaps get something from that from Scottish Enterprise. But in terms of what we're up to, we're still just working with our existing clients. We're seeing some positive signs where some businesses are now looking to bring employees back from furlough, so we've been helping them navigate through that process, just around the proper paper trail, making sure the proper risk assessments are in place as well around social distancing and things like that. So that's kind of positive. So and hopefully we'll see what kind of comes out this week from the government, but we're definitely seeing some signs, a lot of businesses kind of reopening or certainly making plans to do that. So hopefully the impact won't be as severe as what people are thinking. And other things we've been doing, we've kind of been doing a weekly webinar for each of our clients as well. So just kind of running different seminars. The one this week actually is on how to manage redundancies effectively. So we are kind of picking up from some clients that even although the job retention scheme has been welcome, they are still looking to downsize organisations slightly. So we're running that webinar on Thursday at 10 o'clock if anybody would be interested, just to give some hints and tips on how to navigate that properly. But yeah, like everyone else, doing webinars as well, and just trying to kind of keep ourselves busy. But there's plenty to kind of be getting on with, and obviously things like this. I've joined a few of the chamber chats so far, and they've been really helpful. So it's good just to hear what other people are up to. So yeah, that's me.
That's great. Alistair, just double checking, for your webinars, do you send them to the chamber so that we can list them on our website?
I probably should do that, actually. I think I did that at the beginning, but no, I've not updated the recent ones. That's a good point. So I'll send a link to that, actually. That'd be really helpful, actually. Thanks for that.
All right, yeah, no problem at all. So for anybody that's got anything like that, if you send to our news@ email address, so it's just obviously news@dundeeandanguschamber.co.uk, and then we'll be able to share that for you. Yeah, okay, thanks, Alistair. Next up, Jen Stewart, do you want to come in? And oh no, Jen's got us on hold, which means she's got another call, which is absolutely fair enough, not a bother. Oh, Jen, you look like you're back.
Oh,
Jen,
sorry,
unmute?
Apologies,
No,
technical hitch there. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, you look like you're enjoying yourself out in the sunshine. I'm probably too late for that. Anyway, what's been going on with us this week? We have continuing to really assist clients accessing the various schemes that are available and are being introduced. We have had a lot of positive feedback regarding clients now actually getting funds through from the furlough scheme. We've been, I guess, seeing different trends from different clients in terms of the, I guess, how the different banks are responding to the C-bills. So there's a bit of a kind of mixed response in terms of how all of the different banks are actually, responding in terms of delivery and speed of delivery. Again, quite a few restructuring inquiries starting to come through in terms of businesses in specific sectors that are actually now getting quite concerned that when the government support schemes stop, where does that actually leave them? And I guess sort of planning ahead for how they potentially deal with that. So quite a mixture of things going on here, and just really assisting our clients where we can. Thank you.
Fab, thanks very much. I'm just going to do this in order. People came in, so this might be a bit of the same again. But Graham Parker, do you want to come in and just give us an update on where things are at with you guys?
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. Pretty much the same. So I've obviously not been with you in what, 3 weeks. I think I've missed in the middle there, and that's because I've been doing furlough claims, or a lot of furlough claims. Just getting those done, dusted, lodged for clients, and that's been our biggest thing. Making sure that there's a process there. Otherwise, we're just, at the moment there's no way to fix it if you submit it. So making sure it's right that's been the bit that's what we've been focusing on. I'm probably just past that stage now, where obviously all the April payrolls are done, so all the furlough claims are effectively done. And what I'm seeing now is probably back to general stuff coming through. Some normal emails, if you like. People want to do things, buy stuff, continue with their business as much as possible. So probably get back slowly. I can see certainly for this next few weeks before furlough kicks in again at the end of May, a little bit of normality, if you like. And that's.
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. Apologies, Graham. I was actually going to ask, have you had a lot of people accessing the new funds that came out this week, the leisure and hospitality and the pivotal one? Because I know that the pivotal one is obviously going to close its books again at 5 o'clock tonight, and I've seen a number of people kind of saying we haven't got our numbers and we can't get our accountant and and whatnot.
I've had none whatsoever. I think if you've applied in some respects, if you've got your staff on furlough, if you have your grant, you might have taken advantage of the loan earlier on. You may be in a position where you can sit and rather than trying to get something else, more funding in. And I suppose it's a balance for businesses whether to decide to take that extra money or not. Because it's there's never a right answer or a wrong answer. It's whether you need it at some point. So I've certainly had none at all, which is unusual, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I could just add in there as well. I think we have, but I note that the scheme is kind of going on hold from 5 o'clock tonight, but they have indicated it will open up again next week at some stage. Yeah. So I think if there are any businesses that have a sense of urgency, they probably really want to try and get it in there before 5 o'clock. But otherwise, they have indicated it will reopen, which is positive. Thank you.
Thank you. That's fab. Great. Okay. Alistair Kerr, do you want to come in?
Hi, everyone. For anybody that doesn't know me, Creative Mongrel is a creative consultancy for small businesses. So I help small businesses with their branding, just with a particular focus on making sure that they have a crystal clear brand message. So a lot of my work at this time has been trying to persuade and remind businesses that they shouldn't be neglecting their brand at this time. So there's a lot of sort of educate. I'm trying to use this time to sort of for educational purposes, really. Trying to sort of make up for the loss of a fairly significant stream of work for me, which is photography. I do a lot of photography work for businesses. That's all gone out the window, other than one job I was lucky enough to get that I can shoot from home. Got that literally about a week before lockdown, delivered the products to me. So that's been able to carry on. But other than that, no photography work. So really just trying to sort of build my network, trying to encourage other businesses not to neglect their brand, trying to raise awareness, and basically just reviewing, I suppose, elements of my own direction while I've got the time to do it. So, but I'm just carrying on. Luckily, a lot of my work can be done online or through Teams, so I'm able to do that while this is going on. If I can just take a opportunity here to just raise a kind of a concern maybe for discussion, Alison and Sarah. and that is I've seen a lot of stuff about when we can get back on the, get the show on the road and get things moving again, and everybody's champing at the bit. And I'm maybe a little bit overly tuned to this from the point of view that my wife works in the NHS. She's not 100% front line, but she's out there on the wards, and having someone in that position, I think, makes you much more aware of the risk on a personal level. And I see the likes. I don't know if anybody else saw the nonsense with that Aer Lingus flight from London to either Belfast or Derry a couple of days ago. I think it was on Twitter, and then it was on the BBC website. And basically, it just beggared belief. It was a flight full of folk just crammed together, no distancing at all, seemingly no measures taken to sort of distance people or give them a steer on hygiene or anything like that. And the point I'm making about that is that it worries me, having watched the news last night and seen them talking about how, all the measures that they were going to get businesses to put in place to get things back on the road. I question how much people can be trusted to implement that, and it makes me say, I realize this is painful. I realize it's very painful, but I'd rather not rush back into it, So anyway, that's just my thoughts. It was just something maybe for discussion as we open up again. So that's me.
That's great, Alistair. I think, it's interesting, isn't it? So we fed in this week comments to the UK government about their upcoming announcement and what that's going to mean for coming out and what all the businesses are thinking. So actually, this is really good if we can maybe just chat about this during today's meeting and get a bit of a sense. And it'll be very interesting because I'm going to ask Manny from Sleepers to come in next. So from a service industry to an industry like the hotel business, where it's just you just can't really imagine the steps that you're going to have to put into place, Manny. But it's important that government are very, very, very conscious of all of that, and I think they are. And it's not just the chambers; it's people like the Scottish Tourism Alliance and lots of others that are making your voices heard. But yeah, Manny, do you want to come in and just give us a bit of an update and then touch on anything that Alistair's kind of spoken about?
Sure. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Manny. I'm the General Manager for Sleepers Hotel. It's the new property at the waterfront. So we closed on the 19th of March, a few days before it was actually officially announced by the government. The business just basically fell off the cliff as our surrounding clients and businesses started closing down. Our room sales fell, which was to be expected, to be honest with you. It was just a matter of time. While we've been closed, all the staff are furloughed. We have got a 24-hour security presence in the building, which is due to the fact that we're part of the railway station. It needs to be done. As far as the loans and the subsidies, etc., I'm blessed with our finance department that's taking care of all that. On site, we are just continuously processing refunds. We're obviously closed now in May. We are more than likely will be closed in June, and then let's see how the furlough scheme expands from there. No doubt businesses in this line of work will probably be phasing back in, regardless of whether our lockdowns are lifted in July or August, or even at the end of this month for that matter. It will definitely be a phased return, and it purely depends on how our surrounding market reacts, our corporate clients, the decom work, so on and so forth. Other than that, we can only plan, and that's all we do. We're planning in changes of menus, how we're going to deliver these menus, service delivery, check-in, check-out, cleaning regimes, procedures, even so much that our manning structure. We're not in the business of letting people go. We are absolutely going to avoid that, and I think we're blessed with the various schemes out there, especially for this industry, the food and beverage industry and the hospitality industry. Without that, it would have been a lot more worse, like it would have been with most other industries. Post lockdown market, well, the way we see it is domestic market will be our saviour. I think the international market, we could probably still be having this conversation this time next year. It's all about confidence and procedural stuff, you know. All we can do is, you know, keep on top of good practice, which is refunds, and be as accommodating and compassionate as much as we can, and stay in touch with our clients. You know, again, just like most other people have said already, just to remind people that we are still here. Social media presence is there on our list, but we're very conscious of the fact that the last thing people want to be thinking about now is companies bombarding them with offers and so on and so forth. So it's just a mild hello and you know, and how we're doing. So that's very, very important. We're staying in touch with our suppliers and more importantly our clients and staff regularly. Now, in this industry, it's just absolutely unpredictable. I was reading an article today that they're saying the hospitality industry will probably be one of the last ones that will see any restrictions lifted. That more applies to the high street pubs and the bars and the restaurants. Hotels, well, we're probably just a wee bit better in organising social distancing, and we can do that. Once you check into the hotel, you're in your room, you're self-isolated anyway, and how we look after you and how clean we are, actually, you know, there's 2 or 3 things that are going to be very important. Cleanliness, the quality of food. I think people are more conscious about what they eat and don't eat now than they ever have been before. So nutrition is a big part of it. And then we need to look after our staff. We need to get a safe area. That's really it in the hotel market. I mean, Dundee's all hotels apart from 2, I think, are all closed, and even 2 that are open, they're really open for the emergency services and key workers. And we do have a strong network of hotels in the city. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. Just on a final couple of points, actually. Now, whatever London government decides, obviously Scottish government will, you know, the comment that was made about the Aer Lingus flight and so on and so forth. I've seen that as well, actually. It's quite shocking. But I don't think, whatever the political side of it is, putting that to aside, I think the Scottish government will make their own decisions. They won't go by what Downing Street says to a certain degree. So I think we're blessed with that mindset in this country. Now, just before I go, I am also the chair of DD1, which is Dundee City Centre Businesses Network. I have a conference call on Thursday with Dundee City Council and key stakeholders about a possible city centre recovery plan, whatever that timeline looks like. So what I'll do is on my message bar, I will put my email address. I'd be very much interested if anybody had any thoughts on the recovery plan of Dundee City Centre, what that could look like. Your input would be priceless for me personally. I'll sell it as if it's my own, so don't worry about it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Manny. That's fab. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about Scottish and UK governments. I think that the difficult thing that we've seen, certainly with some other industries like construction, for example, is that you could then end up in a sort of an anti-competitive marketplace almost. You know, imagine, for example, that the UK government says it's okay for your industry to open and the Scottish government says no, you close for another 3 weeks. I'd be interested in kind of, is that being talked about much in your industry?
Sorry, Alice, is that for myself?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It has, but you know, it's okay for the smaller independent ones to go with decisions like that. So a company like ours or my colleagues in the city, these are national brands that have got hotels dotted all over the country. So it's a case of, you know, half the company opens up south of the border and the other half doesn't. And then how you share the resources across the group, that is a discussion. And look, ultimately, if the Scottish government makes a decision, we will go by it regardless of where our footprint is, whether that's abroad or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that's great. Thanks so much, Fab. Niall Handy, do you want to come in next?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yep. Good
to see you all again. I think from the last call that we were on, the last coffee and cake, I think the biggest change has been, for those who don't know, I do foreign exchange and international payments. So trying to be an alternative to banks in looking at specializing and managing risk for people when it comes to managing currency exposures, which are obviously very volatile at the moment. But I suppose the key interesting thing for the group would be there's definitely more talk now of the future and people looking to put some more forward contracts in place and how to hedge the uncertainty. It's quite nice actually and reassuring. You know, we spent probably the first few weeks of people just batting down the hatches, just trying to get their business sorted out, furloughing staff, all that kind of stuff. That obviously is still in place and it's still a big distraction and a priority for most people. But you know, I wasn't talking to anybody really in those first few weeks. Now it is much more obvious that people are looking forward and they're trying to see, right, I think, you know, we need to start importing stuff for export, whatever the case is. And they're starting to talk to us more and more about hedging longer term. So I'm taking a lot of positivity out of that people are seeing some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. FX is a big risk. International payments is a big risk that has been largely ignored because, and understandably, because there have been so many other distractions. It was one client said to me, you are a high risk in a list of high risks and you're at the bottom of those high risks. And it's like, okay, I kind of get it, right? You know, everybody's aware that the risk was there. So yeah, so I'm getting more people coming to me now rather than the other way around, asking for a wee bit of help on how to manage exposure. So, and maybe the other insight, more of a personal thing. So obviously as an Irish person, I stay close to the news at home and the government there has released kind of a program and timeline of releasing people from the lockdown. Now, everybody I talk to at home has turned around and said, we know that's not going to be the case. It's probably going to be a little bit longer than their plan, but it's quite nice to have a number and it's been quite nice and morale has been lifted. You can even tell by people talking to them that, again, they see the kind of light at the end of the tunnel, but it's more in figures for them. So I'm kind of in positive here, I think, is what I'm trying to get at, is that it's been the weirdest 6 weeks of all of our lives. And I do think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So we just got to try and hang on, I think, for a wee bit longer. I think that's it for me.
Great, thank you so much. That's good. Okay, Peter, over to you to unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Try again. Still muted. Maybe we can't get you. So I tell you what, we'll come back. Oh,
can you hear me?
Sure can.
No.
Yes.
Oh, you're hearing me. Good. We took an active decision when the crisis hit to actually turn around and let all bookings cancel, offer 100% refunds on all booking fees, and cancel everything without even being asked. We just took that decision straight away. We take a small deposit. All the meetings and events ended. We saw the way people were behaving with simple resources like toilet paper, and we immediately released ours to the local church for pensioners. Our sanitisers we released to a lot of other organisations and facilitated them getting them as well. I think it was an important thing to do. I've been involved in doing deliveries for fruit and veg businesses, pharmacists, restaurants, and if you need a takeaway tonight, Alex, I can hook you up. I'm on the car tonight. But in a business side of things, I've had great support from our lawyers. My gardens never looked better. The council rates relief scheme, I could take them out and shoot them. Still not got our check, but I'm not the only one in Dundee who's been mucked around by this council. They're absolutely scandalous. I've been involved in getting ventilators from China into the UK to NHS and supplying sanitizer to Dubai and supplying sanitizer into the police force here in Scotland. So that we've been very busy, but at the end of the day, it's you fill your day. I think there was about one day where I had nothing on and I just picked up the phone and contacted a few of my friends and said, do you need a hand? And that was the main thing. You've got to help people. We're all in this together, and whatever I can do to help others is important.
That's fab, Pete. I think that's the way that I see you operate all the time. I'm not surprised all you're doing is helping other people. So thank you so much for your update. That's great. Billy Grierson, to come in.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, the lockdown was a bit of a problem for me. All the future business I had literally disappeared overnight. Went to bed one night with a few jobs planned, got up the next morning with a lot of emails saying cancelled, cancelled, cancelled. So it's been a bit of an issue. The biggest problem basically was that none of the aid or support coming from the government applies to a one-man business until this bounce back loan, which I applied for yesterday, and Barclays Bank say that it should be in my account today. So that's pretty good turnaround. The only problem is I'll have to pay it back eventually. And the way these things work, consultancy and training is the first thing that people cut when things get tight. It's the last thing to come back when things free up again. So that's the downside. The upside is I'm getting to do a lot more cooking than I normally do. But also I've been forced into the position where I've had to do what I'd planned to do maybe next year, which is move a lot of the training I do online, or at least develop online versions. I've started working with a friend up in Aberdeen to do webinars. He's got a webinar platform up there, so that'll happen. I've got 2 of the training courses I do, creative problem solving and project management, or basic project management. I've got those set up. I think they're ready to go. One of the reasons I was keen to join this session today was to make an offer to the Chamber, because I've had a fair bit of support from Dundee and Angus Chamber and Fife Chamber over the last 5 or 6 years. So the offer's there that anybody that's interested in that training, I'm happy to do it basically at cost for Chamber members. So if they contact me, it's intended for companies that can come up with 5, 6 participants. If there are enough people that are like myself, one man, 2 smaller companies that maybe want to get together and do a course together, then let me know and I'll see what I can set up.
Okay, Billy, that's fab.
It sounds as though somebody's fallen off their chair somewhere. Yeah, I guess my email address should be on the Chamber directory somewhere, yeah?
No, not publicly available because of GDPR. So what you should, well, two things actually I would say, Billy. I was going to say pop it into the chat so that the people on today's call can get it. But also, so there's a couple of ways, and this applies to everybody, but there's a couple of ways to get something like that out to Chamber members. So on our website, all of the time we have a member offer, so member to member offer kind of thing, and you know, Creative Graphics will put up a pull-up banner for X amount of price or others. We often see delegate rates from hospitality businesses and things go in there. But at the moment in our COVID hub, we actually have got a page where members have given us specifically coronavirus related offer. So you could certainly also have it put up on there, Billy. So in either of those places, I think the thing to do is, again, send it to us at news@Dundee and Angus Chamber, and we'll get that published and shared. So happy to kind of help out and make sure people know about that for you.
Good, thanks.
All right, you're very welcome.
But yeah, just while I remember, in case I forget later, the comment about the airline, it wouldn't have mattered if they had just one person per row, because in an aeroplane, the air is circulated. It's very rare for them to be taking air in from the outside. So it's constantly circulated. So you're sitting there having the air. So even if there were 2 people on the plane, only 2, it's probably not that much better. So I love flying, but I won't be doing any of that for a long time.
Well, it's why we always come off a plane with somebody else's cold as well.
Exactly,
isn't it? So,
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thanks so much, Billy.
Okay.
Trevor Fenton, do you want to unmute and come in?
Hi there.
Hi.
just see if I'm actually good. So yeah, Trevor Fenton from Fenton's Commercial Law in Dundee. Just sort of following on what Graham Parker was saying there about people wanting to get back to some kind of normal and do some transactions again. I'm seeing the same kind of well, excitement, if you will, coming from the groups that I network with in Vancouver all the time. What I'm hearing is a lot of investors have sort of been sitting on the sidelines waiting to see where things shake out, but they're getting a little bit impatient for a bit of action. And frankly, they're seeing maybe some opportunities to get some some good deals on some transactions that might have cost them a bit more had they done them a couple of months ago. So I guess it's a bit of a mixed message. Nobody really wants to be the target of a lowball offer, and yet it also means that there is potential for more activity coming back. Really not that far down off on the horizon for us. As far as the airplane, and the issue of going back too quickly, I just encourage everyone not to get too upset about specific examples of inappropriate behavior. I mean, that Aer Lingus flight, certainly nothing anybody wants to see repeated. And yet this is an island of 65 million people. There aren't that many of these kinds of examples happening. You get the odd place where you'll get congregations of people and so on. But I think on the whole, if we think about what we're seeing going on around us, we're seeing the vast majority of people are sticking to the guidance. Something like 70% of the population is still against relaxing the restrictions just yet. And that said, let's remember that this is in a context of government support, financial support there's still rather a lot of it out there. Many of us on this call are perhaps having trouble getting access to the kind of support that we need. And being a small business myself, paying myself through dividends, I fall between the stools like probably a lot of people on this call do. But that said, the bulk of the population isn't in that situation. Most people have some form of support, even if it's not quite as much as they might need, and so that's probably driving a lot of people's willingness to adhere to these restrictions. We're going to have to watch what happens as the government starts to get a bit of fatigue. Supporting people with that kind of cash, it can't continue forever, and there will be a point where when that support starts to go away, I think you'll start to see the pressure come from the public instead of just from some businesses to get back to it. And the final thing I'll say is the international aspect's kind of interesting, especially in this area. Travel and tourism, I think, is not, I wouldn't say predominantly international, but it's certainly international tourism is a really important part of the economy around here, and to the north as well. As a business person who travels regularly to Canada, or at least used to, I can't possibly see how I'm going to do that again for the foreseeable future. You land in Canada, you get quarantined for 14 days upon arrival, and it doesn't matter what your citizenship is. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. If you're coming from outside the country, it's 14 days. So it's just, it isn't even a matter of whether flights are allowed. It's a matter of whether anyone's going to get on them, because it's just it's utterly impractical for me to, or for most people to travel for leisure or business if that's the result. And I should mention the UK government's actively considering the same kind of thing. So just imagine you want to go over for a business trip you wouldn't have thought twice about doing 6 months ago. You've got 14 days quarantine upon arrival at the other end, 14 days when you come home. I just can't see people doing it. And so that's going to have some serious impact on, hotels might be able to open again, but the crowd of people who are going to be willing to come is just going to be completely different. I think we're all going to have to shift our approach to who we're looking to do business with, where we're looking to rebuild from, because we just can't count on those old sources of business coming back. We're going to have to find some other way of doing it, I think.
I think that's a really interesting point, Trevor, especially as when the Chamber itself's been keen to do more international connecting and try and get people to be thinking about new markets, and certainly delivering some of that virtually is on our minds. But Trevor, I'd be interested in your kind of feedback on how you feel. I mean, Canada very well, but how important is a face-to-face conversation in developing relationships. Do you think they'll change and do things, you know, become a little bit more virtual in our behaviour?
Well, I don't think we're going to have a lot of choice. So how important is it? It's crucially important. It depends on what sector you're in, I suppose. If you're selling a real commodity, right, that's something that people will be happy to purchase, online, whether it's from an Amazon or from a smaller web shop, then the relationship isn't quite the same. That's more of a branding and a marketing issue. If you're in a service-based industry, particularly as a solicitor like I am, to get people to work with you as opposed to somebody else, the relationship is going to be critical. And you can make some progress through video conferencing and online networking. But if your competition is face to face with them, right, because they're physically closer and because maybe there's so they can get out to to the face to face networking events that are happening at the other end, then it's, well, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's certainly a lot more difficult at the moment because everything's locked down. I actually find this is actually extremely helpful to me because events that previously were not online are now online. So I'm able to attend stuff regularly in Vancouver that never was online before. Whereas obviously I wouldn't be going every Friday morning for breakfast at the White Spot in West Georgia if this because I'm obviously not going to fly to Vancouver every Friday for breakfast, right? So, but I get to meet those people actually 2 or 3 times a week now. So the moment restrictions start getting lifted, I think some of that stuff stops happening. And I don't know, I think that's a big unknown, what's going to happen, or how much the business is going to sort of become much more local than it has been perhaps for the last couple of decades.
I think that's a really good point. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Trevor. That's fab. Ian Collins, do you want to unmute and come in?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So I work for Bank of Scotland. I'm also president of the Chamber of Commerce at the moment because our AGM has been postponed. So I'm Chamber of Commerce president of the Chamber of Commerce for a bit longer than I anticipated, but that's good. So I'm not going to try and talk about, I'll try and talk about what we're doing within the Bank of Scotland and what I'm doing locally in terms of leading the team. I should say I don't want to be a spokesperson for banking generally because that's quite a difficult thing to do, but I'll try and sort of just chat around what we've been doing and those 2 schemes that you've talked and referenced, some of you already. So CBILS, first of all, CBILS has gone through a lot of changes since it was launched. So you need to be mindful of that and what potentially the conversation you had with your bank maybe the day after it was launched might not be quite the same conversation you'd have now. So things such as the taking or not of personal guarantees has changed during the period of it. The period of capital repayment holiday has changed. That changed this week. So it went from 6 months to 12 months. It's always been interest-free for 12 months. But lots and lots of different moves on the CBILS scheme. Massive demand for the CBILS scheme. We're working really hard to deal with those. A lot of the decisions are made locally. We've relaxed some of the expectations around some of the data that we're pulling in. So we're very much looking at historic financial performance as opposed to cash flows. That's not to say there's not a value in a cash flow, but you'd probably do that more for your own benefit and understanding where the business is going to be coming out as opposed to actually proving eligibility under the CBILS scheme. Buyback loans launched yesterday. It was good to hear that somebody talked about it and we're going to get the money today. From what I'm seeing, everybody that we had an application for yesterday did get their money today. So an exceptionally quick turnaround, 24, 48 hours, but most of it's gone out today. Schemes of fixed rate of interest, if you didn't know that already, and I think that's well industry-wide. So it's 2.5% fixed rate, although there's no penalty if you repay it early. It's a 12-month capital holiday and a 12-month interest holiday, and that's probably why the CBILS has been changed to align with that. The point was made, I think, by Billy was an important one. It is a loan, so you do have to pay it back. The application process which we're using is an online application process via our website with an awful lot of self-declaration information that needs to go in there. And obviously there's then checks behind the scenes and then obviously issuing the funds out to you as quickly as we possibly can. We're making the funds payments by faster payments. So for those of you that know that scheme, the payments go out within anything from a minute to a maximum of 2 hours. What else have I been doing? I'm on a number of different boards, so I'm now an expert not on WebEx, Zoom, Teams, and every other social media platform going, I think, in terms of meetings. And the thing that I haven't managed to you work out from the picture is my son wanted to cut my hair and I said he'd got no chance whatsoever. So I've got exceptionally long hair now that I'm putting as much gel in as I possibly can to try and keep it off my face. So everything from me, Alison.
Thanks, Ian. The whole, cutting your hair. We didn't catch that last bit, Ian, but I was just going to say that whole dilemma of, do you cut your husband's hair? Do you get a divorce? I've seen, men do the whole, I'm just going to do a number 3 all over. And yeah. My husband said in the beginning, oh, I can't wait to get to the pub for a pint. Now he's saying, I can't wait till the barber opens. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people. Yeah. Whereas with the girls, it's your nails, because my nails look ridiculous. Never mind. First world problems. Okay. Next up, Kerr. Shall we try and see whether we could get you in?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, yes. Right, yes, sorry, apologies for all the in and out before. I've had to change devices. However, I'm struggling with both my hair and my nails, so I don't know what that says. I'm in. It's been a few weeks actually. God, I feel like I'm in the confession. It's been a few weeks since my last confession, but yeah, since I was last on, not an awful lot has changed for me. My business dried up relatively quickly. However, I am seeing more and more advertisements for the types of clients that I have: animation studios, game studios, people like that. More and more adverts for them looking for remote workers as opposed to in-house workers for audio, which is a great thing, because it is something that is easily done remotely if you have good communication levels. So I'm hoping to see that continue and pick up a bit more business on the freelance side of things and the contract side of things when we get through this by doing it all remotely. I did launch my own podcast, finally. That's something that's given me time to do, which I will need to send a little email to yourselves at News to see if you can just promote it a little bit for me. But I talk to small businesses around Dundee and Angus and Fife and things about their business journey and their challenges and solutions and the future and that. So just trying to have a chat about general problems that we all face and see who's come up with solutions for things and whatnot. So yeah, that's been amusing me a little bit, and I've been spending the rest of my time pretty much doing a bit of learning, getting around to learning some software that I've been trying to do for a long time and never getting the time to, and just trying to create some content to put out there. So yeah, that's about it.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, please do send us details about your podcast, because I think people will definitely be keen to take part, and then once they listen to it, then they'll be tempted to get one of their own, hopefully. That's part of the master plan, isn't it?
You saw through that marketing screen.
It is interesting though, isn't it? I mean, last but not least to come on is going to be Anthony from MTC, but him and I have been talking about how much our behaviour is changing, isn't it? And so many people are looking at different brands and different ways of getting their message out. So yeah, I feel old and don't really listen to podcasts, but I'm not a runner. I feel like I've got all the excuses under the sun not to listen to podcasts. That's not really good enough. So please send us it so we can share out. Great, thanks, Kerr. Anthony, over to you. Do you want to come in?
Yep, perfect, Alison. Hi everyone, I'm Anthony from MTC Media. We're a digital media agency based down in City Quay, offices down in City Quay, but now we've got probably about 100 all throughout the UK with everyone working from home. I think that's, as Alison was saying, first world problems. That's the biggest problem right now, is how much we all miss City Quay and being down at the waterfront. So a little bit about us. For us, it's a bit like business as usual, due to the fact that most of our businesses are online. I think it's just been a different kind of things have just changed differently. A lot of service providers are probably the ones who are kind of suffering the most, if that's the right kind of term for it. While some service providers are kind of upping what they're doing and trying to change digitally, that's probably actually quite a key kind of mindset change for a lot of businesses in terms of how do they make themselves digital, how do they come online. So that's what we've been doing a lot with. Well, we are bringing more and more clients online in terms of their e-commerce abilities from your high street kind of retailers and bringing them online. A lot of service providers are bringing themselves online as well. And kind of like what Trevor was saying in terms of being able to have that connection in terms of saying, oh, we can actually facilitate conversations online, making your clients aware of that. But also when you talk about things like marketing, so your traditional market for hotels may have been, yeah, we'll advertise to Europe or we'll advertise to the US. Those traditional markets are now changing, as it's kind of been highlighted in this like chat here, that the marketing kind of focus needs to actually be homebound now, because we're going to have a lot more staycations to go along with that. So we're working with a lot of businesses to help them redirect themselves and kind of ultimately change the way that their business works digitally and online. So along with that, we've been doing some great work as well. We've been doing some work with the NHS that we've been doing free of charge as well. Just something to highlight in terms of that we're helping with the cause for COVID in terms of some digitalisation there. But yeah, ultimately we're keen to speak to any customer or any potential customer that's looking at their digital strategy through COVID, digital strategy after COVID, and just ultimately bringing them online and reaching out to their clients. That's from me.
Fab, thank you so much. It's always that moment where you can't find your unmute button, isn't it? That you start, you go, hope my poker face is working, and nobody saw that flash over my face. Thank you, Anthony, that's great. So, I mean, I guess just sort of wrapping it up then, I just want to talk about a few of the webinars that we have got on in the next week. So this evening is the next in our guide to, and it's a guide to teams. So it's fab. We've got chamber member Appetite for Business that's going to join us and talk about, how do you make the most of teams if you're, obviously we're using it today for today's session, but we're scratching the surface, a lot of us, in just how it works, how to use it, best practice, what can you actually do with it to make sure you're using effectively Microsoft 365 and SharePoint and all the other things. So that's this evening, 6:30. Then tomorrow's session, we've got our take a break sessions, and as I said, that's the one that's aimed at people in your business or people that you kind of want to support. So tomorrow we're going to be joined by Robert Marshall from Shape Therapy, who's going to talk about challenging your belief system. So an interesting one for a Wednesday. Thursday morning, we've got our next in series of business support. So this one is going to be about protecting your brand, and we've got a fantastic speaker joining us on Thursday. So Rachel Jones is her job title, Head Dragon at Snapdragon Monitoring, and that's all about actually making sure brands are well protected online. And they have just been awarded a Queen's Award for Enterprise within the innovation category. So I know that she's going to be a fantastic speaker. And then we've got Richard Wilson from Blackadders, who's going to talk about, their angle on protecting your brand. And then the next one at the start of next week is one in the series that Carrick Management are running through the Chamber of Commerce. So session 2 for them is looking at what help can you get now that wasn't there before to help you realign your business. So again, that's Tuesday the 12th of May at 10:30. A whole bunch of different things going on. So please let us know of anything that we can promote for you. If you're having any issues whatsoever, for example, I've been talking to a chamber member who is desperately hoping to access the bounce back loan scheme, and she uses one of the online challenger banks, and they are not yet accredited. So and it doesn't even look like that they're accredited for CBIL. So we'll be able to kind of let her know, you know, that actually it's probably time to maybe look at maybe one of the other banks to give give access to the bounce back loan scheme, but also we can connect through British and Scottish chambers and see how quickly it's likely that her bank might be able to offer that bounce back loan scheme. So please come to us with anything you've got. Everything will be kept in really strict confidence, but we can talk to the local councils and Scottish Enterprise and others for any issues that you're having, and also feed into government. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm going to go now because I think it looks like a neighbour has got a power tool out. So I escaped that whole hour, which was fantastic. And it's great to hear from so many of you. And I'll catch up with you if you're on the call this evening. Thanks very much, folks. Thank you.